How's it going, everybody? Kobe here. So today we're going to build some Target 3D arrows. 3D season's getting ready to roll in. I'm getting ready to get ready for all the ASA shoots, IBO, NFAA, all those. So I'm just getting ready for Target season in general. So today we're going to set up my, what are going to be my indoor slash partially 3D arrows. So what I'm going to be running is the Gold Tip Series 22 Plus. I got these for $99.99 off of Amazon, which is a really good deal for a dozen of them. And these are really great arrows. If you're looking for a bigger diameter arrow to pull the line, cut the line a little bit, these are definitely going to be it. I'm running the Gold Tip AccuPoint 120 grain. So these have the Gold Tip Fact weight system, so you can add weight directly into the back of the glue-in tip or your insert to give you a little bit more front and center or a little bit more front weight. So for me, these arrows are 300 spine. So me shooting my Halon X Comp at 27.5 inches and 60 pounds maxed out, I'm gonna wanna break that 300 spine down a little bit and get it closer to a 400 in terms of actual spine and how it shoots out of the bow. So I'll start with the 50 grain fact weights and I'll go from there. So that's gonna give me a total tip weight of 170 grains. So that should be good enough. 150 is generally what Gold Tip recommends for this setup on a 60-pound bow at 27.5 inches with a 28-inch arrow. So these aren't going to probably be cut directly at 28 inches. They're probably going to be cut a little bit under, I would assume. But since I don't have a saw myself, I'll be taking these to the pro shop to have them cut. And I'm going to be doing that as I get my mods changed. That way I can just make sure that these are set up specifically for that bow and that there's going to be no issues. So these are going to be the Gold Tip Accu bushings for the Series 22s, and those are going to be paired with the GTO Nox, and then I got the GTO Nox in Ruby to match the red and black accent that I'm going for here to match my bow. To put all the inserts and everything in, as well as the bushings, or as the tips and the bushings, I'm going to be using Boning Cool Flex hot melts. So I decided to go with a hot melt so that it would be a little bit easier, a little bit more forgiving to get out of the arrow, rather than having to heat it up really, really hot to get super glue to separate. I would rather just heat it up just a teeny bit and get the hot melt out. Now we're going to talk about fletchings. I decided this year to run the Boning X Vanes. So these are the 2 1/4 inch shield cuts. I've always been a big fan of Blazer vanes, and I really do like the design of these, as well as the low profile design of it, specifically for shooting outside in the wind. When you start to get heavy drag, heavy wind drift on your arrow, these are gonna definitely help out. It's definitely better for when you're shooting outdoors. As far as actually gluing the vanes on, I'm gonna be using the Boning Pro Class jig. This is got the right clamp on it. This particular jig is capable of 3 and 4 fletch and accommodates just about all arrow sizes, and it also accommodates vanes or feathers up to 5.5 inches long. So that's going to be really beneficial for me. A very versatile jig. For $30 it'll do the job. One reason why I got this jig is so that I had the capability to move to a 4 fletch if I wanted to. So it comes with all the parts that you need to move it to a 4 fletch included, as well as on the back it has instructions for how to put it together, everything like that. Anything you could possibly need. So that's the jig, and then I'm going to be gluing it all together with AAE Max Bond. I've never tried Max Bond myself. I'm generally a Blazer Bond kind of guy, but I'm gonna give the Max Bond a chance because I've heard a lot of good things about it. So we'll see how it does, and I would sure hope for $20 a bottle, I would hope that it's worth it. So we'll see and see how it does. All right, so I guess now we'll just go ahead and get to start fletching. I'll show you a little bit about that, show you how I do the first one and how I plan on setting these up, and then I'll get them all knocked out. All right, so now we are ready to start fletching. So we're gonna go ahead, get our arrows opened up here very carefully. Alright, so now we have our shafts. Gold Tip Series 22 Pluses. Now We've got our 12 bare shafts. I always recommend you wipe down the end of your arrows, generally with some rubbing alcohol. In this instance, I don't have any on hand, but what I do have are these really awesome electronic wipes that I got as a goodie from Christmas. And these are alcohol based, so these are what we're going to use. Basically, you're just going to run this up and down where you're going to be fletching at. You'll see here, this is why you want to do that. I'm sure you can see that. All that black just came off that brand new arrow you just saw me pull out of the package. That's just carbon dust. It's nothing bad, it's just from when they cut the arrows from the factory. That's why you want to do your due diligence now before you start fletching to make sure you get the best contact possible. So I'll just go through, get all these cleaned up. But yeah, you can just see it's off of one shaft, the amount of carbon dust that comes off of that. And you may not realize it, but that will make a difference when you're putting your glue on and trying to get your fletchings to make good contact and trying to get them to stick. Alright, so we've got our shafts all nice and clean. What I want to do first is I want to get my bushings put in, as well as my nocks, because you're going to need those in order to fletch. We'll go ahead and get these open. These are our GTO nocks. And then we got our AccuBushing. So I'm just going to start with getting all these nocks put in the bushings. That way, when I'm applying the hot melt, I don't have to use pliers and I have a little something to hang on to. And these can be a little bit of a pain to get in. If I don't get them in all the way right now, like this one, you can see here, is not fully seated. I won't worry about that right now because all I'm worried about is being able to have enough of something to grab on that's sturdy on the bushing to get it in the shaft, and then once it's in the shaft, then I can push it in the rest of the way. Because if I try to push on it here like this now, I don't have the leverage, I don't have the sturdiness, I'll end up breaking this knock. Alright, those last few were quite easy and went in really well. So now what we'll do, basically I'm going to be heating up this hot melt just a little bit. Just hot enough that it's, nice and melted. And then I will smear it on there and go ahead and stick it in. So you're going to want to do this with a really low heat. Let's see if it'll even go now. Nope, and there we go. Anything that's excess, I'm not really worried about. That's the great thing about hot melt. If you hurry up, stick that, any of the excess, you can just wipe it right off with your hand. There you go, you got one bushing and knock installed. And we'll just do this for the rest of them. So, with our nocks and our bushings installed, we can now move on to actually fletching our arrows. So I'm gonna go ahead and bust out our jig. So now you'll go ahead, you'll take your glue, and you'll run a steady stream right down the length of that vein. With this glue, they say about 10 seconds or so. So I think that's been about 10 seconds. So we'll do one click. Now we'll get one of our black veins and just repeat the process. So now I can show you. Here's one fletching job done, one arrow done. Very, very pleased with the look of these X veins so far. It's a very good looking setup. We'll go ahead and get the rest of these 11 done, and I'll bring you back when we're all done. So it's about a week or so later, I finally got the arrows all cut to size and the tips installed. I've had a little bit of time to shoot with them and see how I like them and see how they fly. They seem to be really flying well out of my bow. I'm shooting a Mathews Halon X comp at about 55 pounds at 27 inches. These arrows are cut to roughly 26 inches from nock throat to carbon, running 170 up front for tip weight, and so far they're flying really well out of my bow. I'm getting really good results and I couldn't be happier. So if you guys like this video, be sure to like and subscribe. I'll have more videos like this coming soon. ASA season is upon us, 3D season's coming right with it. I'm hoping to be able to make it down to Paris, Texas for the Pro-Am down there in a few months. So just keep an eye out on the channel and we'll see you soon. Thanks.